The trial had already been decided before anyone spoke a single word. Lucy Grant knew this the moment she walked into the chamber and saw the faces of the council members. Some looked angry, others looked disappointed, but none looked willing to listen. The charges against humanity scrolled across the massive display screens in 17 different languages. Unauthorized expansion, treaty violations, disregard for established boundaries. The list went on for what felt like hours. Lucy stood at the defendant platform with 12 other human representatives. Behind her, the gallery held observers from 40 different species, all waiting to see what punishment the council would deliver. She had prepared speeches, evidence, explanations for every single charge. None of it would matter now. High Arbiter Vashan rose from his seat, his crystalline body refracting the chamber lights into rainbow patterns across the walls. His voice came through the translation devices calm and measured. The council has reached a verdict. Humanity is found guilty on all counts. The gallery erupted in a mixture of approval and protest. Vashan raised one translucent hand, and silence fell immediately. However, we are not without mercy. Execution would be the traditional punishment for such violations. Instead, we offer exile. Lucy felt her stomach drop. Exile meant being dumped on some remote planet with minimal supplies, left to survive or die based on luck and skill. She had heard stories of exile planets. Most exiled species lasted less than a year before the harsh environments killed them all. The council has selected your destination carefully, Vashan continued. You will be returned to the planet you call Earth. Our records indicate this world is classified as a Class 10 death world, one of the most hostile environments in known space. Lucy blinked. She must have misheard. I'm sorry, could you repeat that? Vashan looked confused by the interruption, but obliged. Earth, your species' homeworld according to your own historical records. Surely you remember the planet you came from. We do remember, Lucy said carefully. But there must be some mistake. Earth isn't a death world. We evolved there. We lived there for thousands of years before we left. The council chamber filled with the alien equivalent of laughter. A mantis-like delegate from the sectoid worlds clicked his mandibles together. Impossible. The atmospheric readings alone would kill most species within minutes. The oxygen content is toxic. The temperature variations are extreme. The native predators are massive and aggressive. Another delegate, this one resembling a floating jellyfish, pulsed with bioluminescent disagreement. Our scientists have studied your so-called homeworld extensively. No sapient species could possibly evolve in such conditions. You are clearly lying about your origins to gain sympathy. Lucy tried to explain, but Vashan cut her off. Enough. The sentence is final. You will be transported to Earth immediately. All advanced technology will be confiscated. You will be given basic survival equipment only. The Council has assigned Observer Pip of the Quillen species to document your final days for the historical record. From a side entrance, a small creature shuffled forward. Pip looked like someone had crossed an otter with a teddy bear and given it 4 large, expressive eyes. He wore an environmental suit that seemed 3 sizes too big for him and clutched a recording device in his small paws. Every few steps, he glanced around nervously as if the chamber itself might attack him. This observer will maintain a safe orbital distance while recording your decline, Vashan explained. His reports will serve as a warning to other species about the consequences of breaking council law. Pip made a small squeaking sound that the translators rendered as, I really don't want to do this, please, can someone else go instead? Vashan ignored him. You have 6 hours to prepare. Gather whatever personal items you wish to take. Everything electronic will be scanned and removed. You are dismissed. Guards escorted the human delegation out of the chamber. Lucy walked in a daze, her mind racing. They were being sent home as punishment. The council thought they were sentencing humanity to death, but they were actually just giving them an unexpected ride back to their origin planet. She almost wanted to laugh. In the holding area, the other human delegates began talking all at once. Fred, a former park ranger, was already grinning. Do you realize what this means? They're sending us home. Actual Earth. I haven't seen real trees in 15 years. They think they're killing us, said Danny's mother, holding her 7-year-old son close. Should we tell them the truth? They won't believe us, Lucy said. You heard them in there. They've convinced themselves that Earth is impossible for life. We'd just be wasting our breath. A young man named Robert laughed. So we get a free trip home. We get to live on a planet that's actually comfortable for once, and the council thinks they've punished us? This is the best sentence ever. Pip appeared at the doorway, still clutching his recording equipment. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence, showing obvious distress. I'm required to introduce myself formally. I am Observer Pip. I will be documenting your extinction. I apologize in advance for your deaths. This seems very cruel. Lucy walked over and knelt down to Pip's level. He flinched backward. Don't worry, she said gently. I don't think things will go the way the council expects. You don't understand, Pip said, his voice trembling. I have read the reports. Earth has predators that weigh several tons. It has weather systems that can level entire forests. It has diseases that should not exist. How can you be so calm? Because we're going home, Lucy said simply. You'll see. 6 hours later, they boarded the Exile transport. Pip insisted on triple-checking his environmental suit before even entering the ship's airlock. Lucy watched him with amusement. Soon enough, he would understand. They all would. The blue and green planet filled the view screen, and every non-human on the ship began panicking. Alarms blared as the sensors detected what they classified as lethal conditions. Pip watched the data scroll past his 4 eyes, each readout more terrifying than the last. Oxygen levels at 21%. Surface temperature variations of over 50 degrees. Atmospheric pressure that would crush smaller species. Hurricane force winds detected in multiple locations. Active volcanic zones. Earthquake fault lines. The list of dangers never seemed to end. The ship's pilot, a blob-like creature named Gorth, refused to descend below orbital altitude. I will not take this vessel into that atmospheric hell. The exile pods will have to do. Lucy and the other humans were loaded into separate descent pods based on council orders. They were to be scattered across different regions of the planet to ensure the documentation of human extinction would be thorough and complete. Lucy's pod contained 15 other humans, basic camping supplies, and enough food rations for 1 week. The council apparently believed they wouldn't survive longer than that. Pip's observation ship followed Lucy's pod at what he considered a dangerously close distance of 50 kilometers. His suit's systems were all running at maximum power, ready to protect him from any possible contamination. Through his cameras, he watched the pod pierce Earth's atmosphere and descend toward a vast green region that his database labeled as tropical rainforest. The danger ratings for this biome made Pip whimper softly. The pod landed with a gentle thump in a clearing near a river. Lucy was the first one out, and Pip zoomed his camera in to capture the exact moment of her death. Surely the toxic atmosphere would kill her within seconds. Instead, Lucy took a deep breath, smiled, and said something to the others that made them laugh. Pip checked his translator. She had said, "It smells like home." Within the first hour, Pip's carefully organized understanding of biology began crumbling. The humans removed their outer layers of clothing because they claimed it was warm. They drank water directly from the river without any purification. They touched plants with their bare hands. One of them, Fred, picked up a handful of dirt and actually smelled it with apparent pleasure. "This is excellent soil," Fred announced. "We could grow anything here." Pip transmitted an emergency report to the council. Subjects are exhibiting suicidal behavior. They are consuming unsterilized water and exposing themselves to native pathogens. Requesting guidance on whether I should intervene. The council's response took 3 hours. Do not intervene. Document only. Their actions confirm their species' well-known recklessness. By day 2, the humans had built shelters using branches and large leaves. They had started a fire using friction between 2 sticks. Pip had to look up what fire was, and when he learned it was a controlled chemical reaction producing heat and light, he nearly crashed his observation ship in shock. They were creating fire, on purpose, and sitting near it, Fred went into the river and emerged 15 minutes later with 3 large fish. He killed them quickly, cleaned them with a knife from the survival kit, and began cooking them over the fire. Pip felt ill watching this. The database said Earth rivers contained thousands of parasite species. The fish probably had parasites. The humans were going to eat parasites. They ate the fish, and nobody died. In fact, they seemed to enjoy it. Lucy noticed Pip's observation ship hovering nearby and waved at it. Through his directional microphone, Pip heard her say, "Poor little guy must be terrified watching us." "Should we try to explain?" asked Robert, the young man. "He wouldn't believe us even if we could," Lucy replied. "Better to just show him that we're fine." Day 3 brought what Pip had been dreading. Young Danny, just 7 years old, wandered near the river to collect pretty rocks. Pip's motion sensors detected a large heat signature approaching through the underbrush. His database identified it as a jaguar, one of Earth's apex predators. Weighing over 100 kilograms, equipped with crushing jaws and retractable claws, it was a perfect killing machine. Pip began broadcasting an emergency alert. Predator approaching human child. Subject Danny is in extreme danger. This observer estimates 98% chance of fatality within the next 60 seconds. The jaguar emerged from the foliage, and Pip watched in horror as it locked eyes with Danny. The child looked up, saw the massive cat, and did something that made absolutely no sense. He yelled, "Mom, big kitty." Lucy came running, but instead of screaming or trying to fight, she simply made herself larger by raising her arms and made loud noises. "Hey, get out of here. Go on." The jaguar, this perfect predator, this killing machine, looked at Lucy for a long moment. Then it turned around and walked away into the forest. Pip sat in stunned silence. His entire understanding of predator-prey relationships had just been shattered. The apex predator had retreated from an unarmed human who was less than half its size. "It's okay, sweetie," Lucy said to Danny, kneeling down to check him over. "Jaguars usually avoid people if you make noise. They don't like confrontation." That night, Pip sent his most detailed report yet to the council. He included video evidence of everything he had witnessed. The humans building shelter. The humans purifying water through boiling. The humans eating native food. The jaguar encounter. He labeled the report with the highest priority flag available. The council's response was brief and dismissive. "Your equipment is clearly malfunctioning. No species could survive under those conditions. Submit your observation ship for maintenance inspection when the subjects have expired. Continue documentation." Pip looked at his screens, showing the humans gathered around their fire, singing something they called songs. They looked happy. They looked comfortable. They looked like they were thriving, that he began to suspect that this assignment might take longer than anyone had anticipated. 2 weeks into the exile, Pip had stopped sleeping. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw impossible things. Humans swimming in parasite-filled water. Humans eating unwashed fruit directly from trees. Humans sitting in direct sunlight without any protective gear. His reports to the council had become increasingly frantic, filled with phrases like biologically impossible and sensor malfunction unlikely but cannot explain observations. The council had finally taken notice, not because they believed Pip's reports, but because they worried the stress of watching humans die was causing him psychological damage. They sent a second observer, a mantis-like sectoid named Trill, to verify that Pip had indeed lost his mind. Trill arrived in a military-grade observation vessel, equipped with the most advanced sensors in the Galactic Union. She contacted Pip immediately upon entering orbit. "Observer Pip, this is Observer Trill. I am here to provide you relief and assess your mental state. Please transmit your location." "I am not insane," Pip responded, though he was no longer entirely certain of that himself. "Everything I reported is accurate." "We shall see," Trill said, her translator rendering her mandible clicks into words. "I'm detecting your observation post. I will join you shortly." Trill's ship docked with Pip's smaller vessel, and she emerged wearing a full hazmat suit with triple redundancy systems. She had 4 arms, each one carrying a different piece of scanning equipment. Her compound eyes looked Pip over carefully. You appear physically healthy, though clearly stressed. Show me these humans you claim are surviving. Pip directed his cameras toward the human settlement. What had been a simple camp 2 weeks ago had transformed into something resembling a small village. The humans had built more permanent structures with raised floors and weatherproof roofs. They had cleared a garden area where green shoots were already emerging from the soil. Someone had even constructed a stone-lined pit for more efficient cooking. Trill went very still, a clear sign of shock in her species. How long did you say they have been here? 14 standard days. That is impossible. Check your chronometer. Pip checked. 14 days, 6 hours, 22 minutes. Trill began running her own scans, cross-referencing with Pip's data, looking for any sign of equipment failure or data corruption. Everything checked out as accurate. The humans had indeed built all of this in 2 weeks on a death world that should have killed them in 2 hours. I need to observe them more closely, Trill said. Take me down to surveillance range. They descended to an altitude of 2 kilometers, close enough for detailed observation, but far enough to avoid contamination, or so Trill believed. Through the magnified cameras, they watched the humans go about their daily routines. Fred was teaching a group how to identify edible plants. He held up various leaves and fruits, explaining which ones were safe and which ones should be avoided. Pip heard him say something about poison ivy and allergic reactions, which implied that some earth plants could hurt humans. But Fred seemed completely unconcerned, as if minor plant toxins were just an inconvenience rather than a serious threat. Robert and 2 others were fishing in the river using lines they had crafted from plant fibers. They caught fish after fish, building up a food supply that would last for days. Trill scanners detected parasites in those fish. She zoomed in to confirm. Yes, definitely parasites. The humans were going to eat parasites. Lucy was working with Danny on what appeared to be educational activities. She was teaching him to read using a book someone had smuggled past the council's technology ban. The child sat in the grass, insects crawling nearby, completely unafraid. One insect landed on his arm, and he simply brushed it away without even looking. Do you see now? Pip asked quietly. They're not dying. They are building. They are teaching their children. They are acting as if this is a normal planet. Trill spent 6 hours scanning, recording, and analyzing before she finally spoke again. I need to report this to the council immediately. This changes everything we thought we knew about Death World classifications. They will not believe you either, Pip warned. They did not believe me. I have better equipment and more credibility, Trill said, though she sounded less confident than before. They will have to listen. She transmitted her full report with detailed sensor data, spectrographic analysis, and high-resolution video evidence. The response from the council took 8 hours this time, and when it came, both observers could hear the frustration in High Arbiter Voshin's translated voice. Observers Pip and Trill, your reports are causing significant disruption to council proceedings. Multiple species representatives are demanding independent verification. Some are suggesting the humans have somehow deceived our sensors. Others claim this is evidence of human biological warfare capabilities. You are ordered to obtain direct physical evidence of human survival capabilities. Collect biological samples if possible. The council needs proof that can be verified by our own scientists. Pip and Trill looked at each other through their respective view screens. How are we supposed to collect samples? Pip asked. We cannot survive on the surface. The humans seem friendly, Trill observed. Perhaps they would provide samples voluntarily. That afternoon, Pip did something he had never imagined doing. He took his observation ship down to ground level, landing it in the clearing near the human village. Through his external speakers, he broadcast a message. Humans. This is Observer Pip. The Council requires biological samples to verify your continued survival. Would you be willing to help? Lucy walked over to the ship, and Pip got his first close-up view of a human through direct observation rather than cameras. She was tall, much larger than him. Her skin was darkened from sun exposure. She smiled, and Pip noticed she had very white teeth. Of course we will help, Lucy said. Would you like to come out of your ship? It is a beautiful day. Pip looked at the open air beyond his ship's protective hull. Beautiful day. She called this hellish environment a beautiful day. He stayed inside his ship, safely protected, and extended a sample collection arm. Lucy provided the samples with cheerful efficiency. Blood, hair, saliva, and even some of the food they had been eating. Pip carefully stored everything in sealed containers and transmitted the data to the council. Then Lucy did something unexpected. She invited both observers to follow the humans on what she called a short hike to the coast. "It is only 40 kilometers," Lucy explained through the communication link. "We want to see the ocean. Your ships can follow us easily." 40 kilometers. Pip checked the terrain data. The route would take them through dense rainforest, over a mountain range, and across a river that was currently flowing at dangerous speeds due to recent rains. His database calculated a 94% fatality rate for most known species attempting this journey on foot. "We shall document this expedition," Trill said. "This will provide excellent evidence for the council." The next morning, the humans set out just after sunrise. They carried packs filled with supplies, water containers, and camping equipment. Danny rode on Fred's shoulders for the first part of the journey, singing a song about hiking. Pip and Trill followed in their ships, cameras recording everything. The first challenge came 3 hours into the hike when they reached a river crossing. The water was fast and deep, the current strong enough to sweep away anything lighter than 50 kilograms. Pip watched in horror as Robert waded in first, using a long stick to test the depth. The water came up to his waist. He made it across and secured a rope to a tree on the far bank. One by one, the humans crossed, holding the rope for stability. Even Danny made it across, wearing a flotation device and holding his mother's hand tightly. Nobody fell. Nobody was swept away. They made it look almost easy. Their muscle strength must be significantly greater than standard species averages, Trill observed, running calculations. And their balance and coordination are exceptional. The mountain section came next. The slope was steep, the altitude increasing rapidly. Pip's sensors detected the oxygen levels dropping as they climbed higher. Surely this would slow the humans down. Surely they would need to stop and rest frequently. Instead, they maintained a steady pace, pausing only occasionally to drink water or eat small snacks. Fred pointed out various plants and animals as they hiked, treating the entire experience like an educational tour rather than a desperate survival situation. He showed Danny a colorful bird and explained what it ate. He identified edible berries growing beside the trail. He discussed the geology of the mountains, explaining how they had formed millions of years ago. "They're teaching while hiking through a death world," Pip said to Trill. "This should not be possible." At the highest point of the trail, Lucy stopped and gathered everyone together. She pointed at the view where the ocean was now visible in the distance, sparkling blue under the afternoon sun. "Look at that," she said. "We are home." Several of the humans had tears in their eyes, not from exhaustion or fear, but from happiness. They took pictures using primitive chemical cameras that had somehow passed the council's technology restrictions. They hugged each other. They celebrated reaching the viewpoint as if it was some kind of victory. The descent toward the coast took another 4 hours. By the time they reached the beach, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. The humans immediately ran toward the water, some of them stripping down to minimal clothing and diving into the waves. Pip's sensors went crazy. Salt water, uncontrolled temperature variations, possible predators, dangerous currents, and the humans were swimming in it voluntarily, laughing and splashing each other like it was entertainment. Danny built a structure out of sand while his mother watched from the beach. Fred collected shells, examining each one carefully before adding it to a growing pile. Robert and Lucy walked along the shoreline, their feet bare on the sand, talking about the beauty of the sunset. That evening, the humans built a fire on the beach and cooked the shellfish they had collected from the rocks. Pip's database identified 3 different species of shellfish, all containing toxins that would make most species violently ill. The humans ate them without hesitation, declaring them delicious as darkness fell. Lucy began writing in a physical notebook she had brought from the ship. Pip zoomed in his cameras to see what she was documenting. The page was titled Earth Vacation Guide and contained descriptions of everything they had seen that day. The waterfalls in the rainforest, the mountain views, the river crossing, the beach. She was writing about a death world as if it was a tourist destination. Day 16 of Exile, and we completed our first major hike, Lucy wrote. The route from inland rainforest to coast is challenging but manageable for groups with moderate fitness. Recommended gear includes water filtration, rope for river crossings, and camping equipment. Best season is spring or fall when temperatures are mild. Wildlife viewing opportunities are excellent. Beach camping is allowed and highly enjoyable. Pip transmitted this new footage to the council along with a note. Subject Lucy Grant is documenting Earth as if it were a vacation destination rather than a death world. She has titled her document a vacation guide. Observer Pip respectfully requests clarification on how to proceed. The council's response was immediate and angry. This is clearly a psychological coping mechanism. Humans must be experiencing mass delusion brought on by stress. Continue documentation. Do not interact further. But Pip could see the truth that the council refused to accept. The humans were not delusional. They were not coping. They were genuinely enjoying themselves. Earth was not killing them. Earth was home, and they had missed it. Trill was coming to the same conclusion. Observer Pip, she said quietly over their private channel. What if we classified their homeworld incorrectly? What if Earth is only a death world to species that did not evolve there? Then the council made a terrible mistake, Pip replied. They did not exile humanity to a death world. They sent them on a vacation. The leak happened on day 73 of the exile. Someone on the council staff had accessed Pip's observation files and found Lucy's vacation guide among the transmitted documents. Within hours, the guide was spreading across the galactic network faster than anyone could contain it. By the next morning, 3 billion beings across 40 star systems had downloaded copies. The guide was detailed and enthusiastic. Lucy had documented hiking trails with difficulty ratings. She had mapped water sources and camping locations. She had photographed waterfalls, mountain ranges, forests, beaches, and coral reefs. She had written descriptions of Earth's wildlife with notes like, generally not aggressive if you give them space, and beautiful to observe from a safe distance. She had included recipes for cooking local fish and plants. She had even added a section on Earth's weather patterns with recommendations for the best seasons to visit different regions. High Arbiter Voshin sat in an emergency council session, his crystalline form flickering with angry red hues. This is a disaster. The humans have turned their punishment into propaganda. Species from across the galaxy are now requesting permission to visit Earth. We have tourism companies filing expedition permits. Our own scientists are demanding to study this phenomenon. How do we lose control of this situation? The jellyfish delegate pulsed with nervous colors. Perhaps we should simply admit the mistake and bring the humans back. We can reinstate them with full rights and forget this whole embarrassing incident. We cannot simply forget it, snapped the sectoid representative. These observation broadcasts have been viewed trillions of times. Everyone knows what happened. If we admit we were wrong about Earth's classification, it calls into question every other death world designation. Our entire scientific framework is being challenged. On Earth, Lucy knew nothing about the chaos her guide had caused. She was too busy living her best life. The human settlement had grown significantly over the past 2 months. They had built more permanent structures using earth and stone. They had established extensive gardens that were already producing food. They had made contact with other exiled human groups using radio equipment cobbled together from salvage parts. Pip's observation ship had become a permanent fixture hovering over the settlement. He had stopped wearing his environmental suit inside the ship, reasoning that if it was going to fail, it would have failed by now. Trill visited regularly, and the two observers had formed an unofficial research partnership studying human adaptation to their homeworld. That on day 87, a new ship appeared in orbit. This one was massive, a diplomatic cruiser carrying council representatives, including High Arbiter Voshin himself. Pip received the communication with surprise. The council itself is coming to Earth. We must see this situation firsthand, Vashan said, and we must speak with the humans directly. Arrange a meeting location. Lucy received Pip's message and smiled. Tell them to land at the beach settlement. The weather is beautiful this time of year. The diplomatic cruiser descended with extreme caution, landing on the sand far from water. The landing ramp extended and Vashan emerged wearing what could only be described as a full body protection bubble. Behind him came a dozen other council members, each in their own protective equipment. Lucy walked across the beach wearing shorts, a light shirt, and sandals. Behind her came Fred, Robert, Danny, and 20 other humans, all dressed casually and completely unbothered by the environment that terrified the council members. High Arbiter, Lucy said, bowing slightly. Welcome to Earth. We were not expecting visitors, but we are happy to host you. Vashan looked around at the beach, the settlement, the humans who looked healthy and content. His translator carried a note of confusion. This is not what we expected to find. You were supposed to be suffering. Suffering? Lucy looked genuinely puzzled. Why would we suffer? This is our home. This is where we evolved. Every human you exiled here has told us the same thing. This feels right in a way that living in artificial environments never did. A council member resembling a large insect clicked forward. But the danger ratings, the toxins, the predators, the weather extremes. Fred stepped forward. Respectfully, those are only dangers if you did not evolve here. For us, this is normal. Our bodies adapted to these conditions over millions of years. What you see as toxic oxygen levels, we see as just right. What you see as deadly pathogens, our immune systems handle easily. What you see as dangerous predators, we see as wildlife that usually leaves us alone if we respect them. Danny held up a shell. Want to see what I found? It had a hermit crab in it, but he ran away. Vashan stared at the child who was standing in direct sunlight, breathing unfiltered air, holding something from the ocean that probably had bacteria all over it. The child looked perfectly healthy and absolutely delighted with the shell. We need to discuss your status, Vashan said to Lucy. The council has voted to offer you full reinstatement. Your exile is ended. You may return to your previous positions immediately. Lucy exchanged glances with the other humans. That is very generous, but we would like to propose something different. Different how? We want to stay on Earth, but we want to open it to carefully controlled galactic tourism. We have this entire beautiful planet that nobody else can enjoy because you all think it is too dangerous. But with human guides, it could be safe. We could share our home with others. The council members began talking all at once in their various languages. Vashan raised his hand for silence. You want to turn your home world into a tourist destination? Why not? Lucy pulled out her vacation guide. I've already done most of the work. We have identified safe routes, good camping locations, and interesting sites. We could build proper facilities for visiting species who need environmental support. Humans would serve as guides and safety officers. You would get to experience things impossible anywhere else in the galaxy. Robert added, think about it. Where else can species go hiking through an actual rainforest? Or swim in an ocean? Or see wildlife up close? Pip had been listening from his ship. He opened a communication channel. Hi, Arbiter. I volunteer to be the first official tourist. Vashan stood on Earth's surface for the first time in his long life, protected by 3 layers of environmental shielding, and watched Pip do something that should have been impossible. The small Quillen observer had removed his helmet. Completely. He was breathing Earth air directly into his lungs. Observer Pip, what are you doing? Vashan's translator crackled with alarm. Pip took another breath, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence with what appeared to be pleasure. I am volunteering to test human claims. If they can breathe this air, perhaps others can too with proper acclimatization. Besides, I have been studying the atmospheric composition for 3 months. The oxygen content is high, but not immediately lethal for species with robust circulatory systems. You could die. I have watched humans live here for 92 days. I have watched a child play in this environment. If a human child can survive, I believe I can manage for a few minutes. Pip walked over to where Danny was building another sandcastle. Hello, Danny. May I help you build? Danny looked up and grinned. Sure. Do you want to make the towers or the walls? Vashan watched this scene, his scientific understanding crumbling with every passing second. A council observer was playing in sand with a human child on a death world. Nothing about this made sense according to established xenobiology principles. Lucy approached with a document in her hands. Hi, Arbiter. Here is our formal proposal. We have spent the last month working out the details with input from all the human settlements. We want to establish Earth as the galaxy's first death world resort with proper regulations and safety protocols. Vashan took the document carefully, as if it might explode. The proposal was remarkably thorough. It outlined zones for different difficulty levels. It established environmental support stations for visiting species. It detailed training requirements for human guides. It specified maximum tourist numbers to protect Earth's ecology. It even included revenue-sharing proposals with the Galactic Union. This is quite comprehensive, Vashan admitted. But I still do not understand how you expect other species to survive here, even with support systems. Fred joined the conversation. We are not expecting everyone to rough it the way we do. We would build facilities with controlled environments. Visitors could stay in safe zones and take short supervised trips into the wild areas. Think of it like visiting any extreme environment, but with expert guides who actually evolved here. And for species that want more adventure, Lucy added, we could offer different difficulty levels. Beach relaxation for beginners. Forest hiking for intermediate. Mountain climbing for advanced. All with appropriate safety measures and human supervision. Robert walked up carrying fresh fruit. Try this mango. It grew in our orchard. Completely safe for most species according to our research. Vashan looked at the fruit with deep suspicion. His scanners indicated it contained compounds that were technically toxic. I will pass, thank you. Your loss. It is delicious. Robert bit into the mango, juice running down his chin. He looked completely unbothered by eating something that would put most species in medical care. Over the next 3 days, more council members arrived. News of Vashan's surface visit had spread, and suddenly everyone wanted to see the impossible humans thriving on their death world. Each visitor arrived in protective equipment. Each visitor left questioning everything they thought they knew about planetary classifications. The breakthrough came when a species called the Durlan, who were roughly humanoid and evolved on a heavy gravity world, asked to try breathing Earth air. Their homeworld had similar oxygen levels, just lower atmospheric pressure. With Lucy supervising and medical equipment standing by, a Durlan named Gresh removed his helmet for 30 seconds that he survived. More than survived. He looked around with wonder and said, "This feels incredible. The air is so clean." That single act changed everything. If one non-human species could survive on Earth with minimal protection, maybe others could too with proper preparation. Scientists began requesting permission to study Earth's biosphere. Medical researchers wanted to understand human immune systems. Tourists started booking spots on waiting lists for trips that had not even been officially approved. Yet 0.1 year after the exile began, Lucy stood at the grand opening of Earth's first interstellar spaceport. The facility sat on the coast where they had first gone hiking, built to accommodate ships of all sizes while maintaining environmental protections. Behind her stood the permanent settlement that now housed 300 humans who had chosen to stay and work as guides. The first official tourist group was arriving. 20 beings from 8 different species, all wearing various levels of protective equipment, all terrified and excited in equal measure. Pip was among them, now considered the galaxy's leading expert on human death world adaptation. He had written his own guide titled A Quillen's Journey to the Beautiful Death World that had sold 40 million copies. Danny, now 8 years old and a certified junior guide, greeted the tourists with a bright smile. Welcome to Earth. Do not worry. We will keep you safe. Who wants to see the ocean first? Lucy watched the tourists follow Danny toward the beach, some walking with confidence, others taking tiny, nervous steps. Pip scurried alongside the young human, no longer wearing any protective equipment, chattering excitedly about the shells they might find. Fred approached Lucy with 2 drinks, handing her one. Not bad for a year's work. We went from exiled criminals to running the galaxy's most popular tourist destination. We didn't do anything special, Lucy said. We just came home and showed others it was not as scary as they thought. Vashan had stayed on Earth to observe the opening ceremony. He approached Lucy now, his protective bubble finally removed after months of gradual acclimatization. Ambassador Grant, the Council wishes to offer a formal apology. We punished you for crimes by sending you to paradise. We based our judgment on ignorance. We are sorry. Lucy smiled and raised her drink toward the sunset. No apology needed, High Arbiter. Sometimes the best gifts come in unexpected packages. You try to exile us. Instead, you gave us the chance to come home and share it with everyone. We should be thanking you.